Good evening and welcome to Just the News. I'm Faye. Thank you for joining us. Before we go to our first story, I have to issue a trigger warning on this story because it can be fairly distressing to people who are already in distress. In Uttar Pradesh, news coming in of a 22-year-old man who has been found dead inside a police station. Here are the details of the case as we know it and the statement from the Uttar Pradesh police. Now, 22-year-old Altaf was found dead inside the police station in Kasganj district of Uttar Pradesh on Tuesday. He's a labourer by profession. He was picked up by the police in Kotwali police station for questioning for kidnapping of a woman in forced marriage. Now, we understand what this means is really that he had apparently eloped with a woman of a different religion. According to the Kasganj police station chief, Rohan Pramod Bothre, his body was found, Altaf's body was found hanging inside the toilet of the police station. When he didn't come out of the toilet after a few minutes, the cops went inside and found him dead. Now, the police, in a video statement released on Twitter, have said that he was wearing a black hoodie and he used the nada or the string inside of the hood of the hoodie to apparently hang himself from a tap that is 2 feet above the ground. The deceased in question was over 5 feet tall. The police have said, and I quote, he was wearing a black jacket. It appears he hooked the string attached to the hood of the jacket to the tap of the washroom and tried to strangle himself. He was brought out unconscious and taken to the hospital. He died 5 to 10 minutes later, end quote. The police have apparently launched a detailed inquiry in the case. Superintendent of Police of Kasganj has suspended 5 policemen, including the station house officer, Virendra Singh, 4 other cops and 2 sub-inspectors and 2 constables. In the meantime, Altaf's family allege and suspect that the police were involved in killing him. They also held a protest outside the hospital where the autopsy was being conducted yesterday. According to the Indian Express, Altaf's father said, and I quote, "The police told me that they suspect my son's role in the case. They wanted to question him. I handed my son to the police who came to my house. When I went to the police outpost, the police turned me back. After 24 hours, the police now say that my son hanged himself. I would say the police have hanged my son." This is obviously a case that has brought a lot of attention to it because the details, according to the Uttar Pradesh police, don't seem to really add up. The tap in question, like I said, was 2 feet above the ground. The deceased at this point was over 5 feet tall. And really, the string or the nada in the hoodie of his jacket couldn't have been long enough for him to strangle himself with it. But we're waiting for more details to emerge from this case. In the meantime, Tamil Nadu Minister Ramchandran on Wednesday informed the press that the death toll due to heavy rainfall in the state has now reached 12. According to ANI, 11 teams of the NDRF and 7 teams of the Tamil Nadu State Disaster Response Force have been deployed. A red alert has been issued for Chennai for the 10th of November and the 11th of November. According to the Met Department, thunderstorms with moderate rain are likely to occur in Chennai, in Chengalpattu, in Tiruvallur, in Kanchipuram, Vellore and other districts. 4 arrivals and 4 departure flights were cancelled at Chennai airport due to bad weather today. The Indian Met Department has issued a yellow alert for Bengaluru rural and Bengaluru urban, Mysore, Mandya, Hassan, Chamarajanagar, Shivamogga and Kodagu districts for the 10th and the 11th of November. Districts will experience rainfall owing to a formation of cyclonic depression over the Bay of Bengal. A total number of cases of Zika virus now reported in Uttar Pradesh has crossed the 100 mark. It's now at 106, out of which 98 cases are being reported from Kanpur alone. The first case, remember, was reported on the 23rd of October. In a statement issued by the Chief Minister's office, it says, and I quote, "Infected persons have no severe symptoms. All are being kept in home isolation. About 100 teams have been deployed in the city for source reduction, 15 teams for home sampling, and the additional 15 rapid response teams have been engaged to check the spread of the Zika virus," end quote. In an update on the terrible Bhopal fire, or the hospital fire that took the lives of newborn babies, the Kamala Nehru Hospital Director K.K. Dubey, the Dean of the Gandhi Medical College and the Superintendent have been removed by the administration. 4 newborn infants, babies, died in the hospital fire, which was reportedly caused due to a short circuit on Monday night. The officials have said the hospital has not produced or even applied for the no objection certificate from the fire department since it began operations back in 2002. A quick look at our COVID numbers. India reported 11,466 COVID cases, 460 deaths in the last 24 hours. Kerala reported 7,540 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours. Quick look right now at news coming in from the world of business. The government has hiked the price of ethanol extracted from sugarcane for blending in petrol by 1 rupee and 47 paise per litre. This year. The hike pushes the price of sugarcane-based ethanol to 63.45 rupees per litre. The new prices will come into effect from the 1st of December. Now, oil marketing companies, just to tell you why this is important, oil marketing companies buy ethanol at a price fixed by the government. The Information Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur has said ethanol blending with petrol has touched 8% in this marketing year and is expected to reach 10% next year. So the whole point of ethanol, which is a derivative of sugarcane, is to reduce, if you blend it with petrol, you reduce your dependency on crude, which is where the prices are running up. But now we've seen the government has also increased the price of ethanol as well. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has announced that his government will reduce VAT on fuel like other states, hours after he urged the central government to further slash excise duty. And he said, of course, that there is a cash crunch because of the COVID pandemic. On the 3rd of November, the central government slashed excise duty. Excise duty is what is charged by central government. VAT is what is charged, or value-added tax is what is charged by state governments. The central government slashed excise duty on petrol by 5 rupees per litre and diesel by 10 rupees, following which several BJP-ruled states also slashed their taxes. Remember, in Rajasthan, Sri Ganganagar, which recorded the highest prices of petrol, it's at 120 rupees per litre. News coming in right now from around the world. A draft released by the COP26 urges countries to strengthen their 2030 greenhouse gas emission targets by the end of next year, keeping in mind really the large gap between what was promised in 2015 in the Paris Agreement and what was actually pledged this year. The COP26 President Alok Sharma has called on all countries to increase their short-term commitments in 2022, which would be a step forward. It also asks them all to agree to an annual high-level ministerial roundtable focused on raising the ambitions even further starting next November. There was a lot of concern that the pledges that were made during COP26 were just simply inadequate in order to meet the targets of slowing down or stopping the effects of climate change. Germany's National Disease Control has reported a record high number of COVID cases today. Over 67% of the population of Germany is fully vaccinated. Health experts have warned of another lockdown, which could be needed if vaccinations do not quickly accelerate. Remember, Germany's health minister dubbed this the pandemic of the unvaccinated, as in a majority of the cases are being reported among people who are not vaccinated. India and 7 other countries have released a joint statement on Afghanistan after a regional security dialogue that took place in Delhi. The national security advisors or secretaries of the 5 Central Asian countries, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, besides Russia and Iran, attended the dialogue. India's NSA Ajit Doval chaired the meeting. These countries stressed on the necessity of forming an openly, truly inclusive government that represents the will of the people in Afghanistan. The nation said that Afghan territory should not be used to shelter, train, plan or finance acts of terror. That brings us to the end of the news. Thank you so much for listening. Before we let you go, there's a conversation up on our YouTube page where we discuss the fact that the new National Crimes Records numbers show us that more business people, shop owners, small business owners, died of suicide in 2020 than the numbers that we're accustomed, unfortunately, to see from farmers. Something terribly distressing is taking place and no one's talking about it. Do take a look at that conversation. It's extremely important. Thank you, those for watching so much. Good night.